What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. Presidency. Let's talk about it. So, as of now, we're in 2026. We know the new presidential election is coming up in 2028. I've been posting multiple videos, executive orders, ideologies, philosophies for over 10 years now. You can go check out my social media platform or pages. I only really use YouTube and TikTok. So you guys can check out Fourth Perspectives 2, which showcases primarily the majority of my philosophies, ideologies, executive orders, intents, plans of actions, etc., etc. Now, a lot of people are asking me, it's like, if I am not successful in becoming president in 2028, what's the next step? Well, the next step is to continue to push forward for 2032, 2036, 2040, 2044, 2048, so on and so forth. You know, the reality of the situation is the videos in which I make are public, and they're public for a specific reason. It gives anyone and everyone the opportunity to understand what plans of actions should take in order to facilitate health, wealth, safety, security, and prosperity for all American citizens, to include the country as a whole. So whether or not I actually get in the door as president in 2028, it doesn't really matter, because the information and the statistical data is already out there for anybody to use. That's the difference between me and a lot of other people. A lot of people keep their plans close to the chest. They won't tell individuals what they want to do, or they won't showcase the proper path in which needs to be taken to facilitate success and progression for the country. They'll keep it to themselves. And, you know, that's a deterrent. You know, a lot of people don't understand what the founding fathers actually envisioned for this country. You know, we had individuals like Patrick Henry. I learned all about Patrick Henry when I was a child. You know, the reality of the situation is Patrick Henry was one of the most important and pivotal people in the United States of America during his time. Yet you really don't know anything about him, because he wanted to maintain some form of a private lifestyle. If it wasn't for Patrick Henry, we wouldn't even have the Bill of Rights. We might not even have won the Revolutionary War. It is times like these to where we have to understand and recognize that, again, I've said this many times and many moons ago, nobody is perfect. Everybody has made a mistake. Everybody has committed some form of a sin. The reality of the situation is, if we judge individuals solely off their past actions in a negative fashion, or a pessimistic approach, or a glass half empty perspective, we would not be where we are today as a nation. It would be impossible. The founding fathers committed treason and mutiny against Great Britain to establish America as a whole. No taxation without representation, the whole Revolutionary War, that was treason. That was felonies, huge felonies, felonies that can be contributed to the death penalty, the execution firing squad. But this is how our country is built upon. Not on the premise that they were perfect, but the fact of the matter, they were acting in what was the best interest for the country and their children and grandchildren and other Americans, as well as themselves. This is what it takes. It takes loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And a lot of people may not understand my methodologies, my tactics, my strategies, but hopefully you can comprehend and understand my intent, because not everything is straightforward. Not everything is like glass you can see through it. Sometimes it takes trust. Sometimes it takes faith in order to facilitate and secure prosperity. When you read the Bible, you have to take a leap of faith that it's true. There's no definitive information that can come out in 2026 that says that God is real, that Jesus was real, that these actions in which have been spoken about in the Bible are real. It takes a leap of faith. You cannot put yourself in a position to where you look at life in a pessimistic perspective. When you look at people in a pessimistic perspective, and all you do is focus specifically on mistakes or misdeeds or sins or errors in action or judgment throughout their life. The balance of the scales of Lady Justice, there's good and evil. Which one weighs more? You have to take this into consideration. That's why justice is supposed to be blind. You're not supposed to be race, color, creed, culture, or religion. You utilize the Lady Justice, the scales of justice, to see good versus bad. And what is the plan of action for this individual moving forward? Because the purpose of the criminal justice system is to separate and segregate an individual if they are a continued threat, not only to themselves and people around them in the country as a whole, but it's also to help foster rehabilitation for American citizens, because nobody knows the actual destination or the destiny and that God has intended for any individual person. If you see a person that has the majority of their background in a positive notion with some errors or mistakes, and they're on a path to try to pursue greatness with the intent to support and facilitate progression as well as prosperity for you and everyone else around you in the country that you live in, it's like the old saying goes, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Because at the end of the day, you're not seeing the forest for the trees. And that is going to be your biggest downfall. Because it takes stress and pressure to create something that is beautiful. Everything that we hold and recognize as the best had to have endured some form of stress or pressure in order to facilitate greatness. No matter if it's an actor or a professional athlete, an element, whatever, in which we utilize or recognize in today's day and age, that we can see and understand it has a high impact on our way of life because it helps so many people out. It had to go through a tremendous amount of pressure and a tremendous amount of questionable activity in order to facilitate some form of prosperity for you. So as you go through life, look at the glass half full. When you go through life, hunt the good stuff. When you go through life, turn the other cheek. Two wrongs don't make a right. And give people the opportunity to prove you wrong. Because at the end of the day, they may just surprise you.